I'm Marla Boltman, the Executive Director of Friends, and I'm here to announce the winners of the Dalton Camp Award for 2023. This year, we're doing something new, so please keep watching for a one-on-one interview with the winner after this short announcement. The Dalton Camp Award is an annual prize for the best essays on the subject of media and democracy in Canada. It was created by Friends in 2002 and named for the late Dalton Camp, a journalist and prominent commentator on Canadian public affairs. Friends received more than 300 submissions this year. With so many smart and thoughtful essays, the selection committee really had their work cut out for them. So I'd like to give a special thank you to that committee, a volunteer group of journalists, broadcasters, and other experts in the fields of media and public policy. Michael Dentant, Timur Durrani, Jane Hilderman, Danielle Paradis, and Sarah L. Sharawi. I also want to thank our media partners for 2023, the Tyee and the Toronto Star. And now, I'm honored to announce this year's winners. The winner of the Dalton Camp Award for 2023 is Toronto's Phil Paine for his essay, Education Gave Birth to Our Democracy, Will It Protect It? Phil's a blogger who writes on the history and philosophy of democracy. Phil and I will be having a conversation in just a few minutes. We're going to do a deeper dive into his winning essay, so please stick around for that. But I want to first introduce this year's two other winners. The winner of the Dalton Camp Award for Best Essay by a Post-Secondary Student is Samir Beg for his essay, Why We Don't Care and How to Get Us To. Samir is a student at the Toronto Film School. His essay was selected for its Gen Z perspective on how media can do better to cover issues that matter to young people.
Hello everyone, I'm Samir Beg. I go to the Toronto Film School, and when it comes to my essay, I think the idea behind it came from I started to become really passionate about politics around the time of the COVID pandemic, lockdowns. And I think as I started to learn more and more about it, and I started to gain more of an identity politically, I think I started to see why I wasn't interested in it beforehand, and why I think a lot of my peers and my friends around my age weren't interested in it beforehand. The point I was trying to make was that myself and a lot of people my age are sort of disinterested or feel disenfranchised in the world of politics. I think it's largely because, whether it's because the media or our political figures that we hear about on a daily basis don't really advocate for the things that we want or need, or I think that they aren't incentivized to really care. I think we're seeing a lot of anti-trans or anti-LGBTQ plus laws trying to ban their ability to freely exist in our world. And I think obviously myself and most people my age aren't really with that. I kind of was having these thoughts sort of stewing already, so I thought I might as well give it a shot. In writing this essay, I think that it really encouraged me, and I think it kind of validated what I was feeling already as I was writing it. And I think as I was doing some research around and seeing this really is a widespread thing and not just something, not just some isolated incident that I'm feeling or my friends around me are feeling.
Congratulations, Samir. This year, an additional student essay made a strong impression on our selection committee. Congratulations to Ellis Jackson for his essay, Big Names, Big Money, and the Dangers of Media Concentration to Democracy. Ellis Jackson is a grade 12 student at Eric Hamber Secondary School in Vancouver. He's also the executive editor for the student-run newspaper, The Griffin's Nest. Our jury was so impressed with this work from a high school student that we are awarding Ellis a special one-time honorary prize. You can read the winning essays and find out how to submit for next year on our website at daltoncampaward.ca. Phil's essay is also published by the Tyee. There are links in the video description. Welcome, Phil, and congratulations. So Phil, tell us a bit about yourself and how the idea behind this essay came about.
The point I was making with my essay was that public education is what makes it work. Democratic institutions don't work in a place where people are driven by superstition. It doesn't work in places where people don't use reasonably logical reasoning. It's what makes democracy function in an actual society.
What does education's role play in terms of, as we've evolved, now we're looking at media literacy? So can you put those two things together for me a bit?
When people are educated in the beginning with some sense of reasoning, the ability to evaluate information, which is what should be taught in the earliest grades of school. Logical reasoning, skepticism, the ability to evaluate evidence. Okay, these should be what early education emphasizes, and it's what creates the atmosphere of reasonable accommodation that is necessary for a democracy to function.
So I think it's safe to say that the Canadian media sector is undergoing radical change right now. And I'm wondering if you think journalism's longstanding role in upholding our democracy is under threat.
Oh, it's definitely under threat. Under threat because only a few people control the media, the main media that people use to get their news. The small town or small city newspaper with a cranky editor, who is always looking for a just cause to fight and so on. Well, those have gone by the wayside. People get their information either from corporately controlled entities whose motives are impossible to determine, or they get them from the new media, which basically are shouting matches of people who don't know what they're talking about. Until we develop new media institutions that have the self-restraint and the self-policing, and it has to be self-policing, we're going to be in a very, very dangerous situation.
So I'm going to pick up from where I think you were going. As disinformation and propaganda spread across the internet and these new media sources, what do you think is the best way to ensure that credible, reliable reporting continues to inform the public discourse?
We should be looking to the countries that also are resisting authoritarianism and increase our links with them. Be aware of it so that there becomes a zeitgeist of rational democratic thinking that is where the people who think that way are aware of each other.
And then through our reporting and journalism, we share those stories, and then that becomes the universality.
Yeah, exactly. If we have a vigorous and universal public education system that doesn't use its power to simply impose some sort of ideological viewpoint, but which teaches children to reason critically, the fundamentals of critical thinking, logic, how to learn things, how to get information, how to evaluate information. These are the things that we should be teaching our kids first, and then let them loose on the world of knowledge, which, if they have this initial kind of training, they can navigate themselves. It's a landscape of history, geography, economics, things which, if you have a sense of critical thinking, becomes a treasure. And millions of people with the same attitude towards information will inevitably gravitate towards a democratic system of compromise and of respect for human rights.
Thank you, Phil, for joining me today. It was a pleasure meeting you. And after meeting you and talking with you and reading your essay, it's very clear why you are our winner. And I'm very honored for you to share your time with us and with our supporters. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
You can read the winning essays and find out how to submit for next year on our website at daltoncampaward.ca.